What's next for NaviPlan, and are we headed for a decade of disruption? Joined today by my good friend Tony Stich to find out. Tony, welcome.
Hi Matt, thanks for having me.
So Tony, when you say decade of disruption, what do you mean?
Yeah, so it's funny, and it's just almost ironic being at such an awesome event, kind of cap like the end of this decade of disruption. Yeah. So I always ask the question before a presentation, show of hands, how many people think 2010 was a couple of years ago? Right. And it's mostly everyone, right? It was 9 years ago. We are less than 60 days away from 2020. And as humans, we failed to remember all that happened. So think about it, from 2010 and the advent of the robo-advisors, through the fiduciary standards, through now Reg BI, and everything else in the middle. Subscription modelings, race to zero, what a disruptive decade it's been. Yeah. And what's even funnier, 2010 is going to be worse. Yeah. I mean, just imagine the disruption that's going to happen. So we're at the inflection point. Yeah. And it's a great time for us to kind of look at our practice, look at how we provide advice, look at the industry as a whole, because 2020 will be just as disruptive, if not more.
And it's crazy. I mean, if you told me, it feels like 1993 was yesterday too. Right. So it's so interesting because I think advisors are standing at a unique crossroads now. But what do they need to arm themselves with so that, ultimately they come out on top in the 2020s?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously the answer is always going to be technology, right? How can you augment your practice technologically to keep up with the competition, right? I think we're famous for saying advisors aren't technologists, right? But you need to embrace that, because the robo-advisors, self-directed planning tools, amongst other disruptors. Just imagine, I mean, just Uber just at Money 2020 announced that they're going to get into banking. So just imagine what's happening and how advisors need to prepare for that with technology, but also, in communities like this, right, at this event, Impact, I think they need to embrace their fellow advisors and learn about their practices and how they use technology to augment that practice to compete in 2020 and beyond.
Creating an elegant technology solution, though, you're not competing against, for you guys at Advicent, you're not competing against the other tech platforms, you're competing against Amazon and Uber. How do you do that? How do you stay a step ahead for advisors, because they have such high expectations these days? Right,
it's funny you say that, because people always talk about the other competitors, right? The Amazon, the Uber. It's not those brands themselves, it's how consumers have literally changed the way they expect to interact with anything. If it's your shopping experience, if it's your musical experience, if it's your financial experience. And so when we think about that, we really need to, and you talk about elegance, right? Yeah. Advisors need to think, how can they be available at any time, right? And we've talked about this before, pajama planning, right? Yeah. How can you be technologically there for your client or prospect whenever they desire it? Not forcing it upon them, but making it available to them in an elegant way. And I think the biggest key to that isn't just about beautiful technology. It's not about how great you are at providing advice. It's daily relevance. Someone's going to keep coming back to the well, in this case, a digital ecosystem like a client portal, if it's relevant, right? If the facts are up to date, if it's relevant both in terms of your account values, but also that advice you're providing. If that daily relevance is there, coupled with an elegant solution, you have a client for life.
It always boils back to one big thing, and that's the client experience.
Sure.
At the end of the day, what is NaviPlan doing? What does this industry need to do to keep raising the game so that that client experience is so fantastic that you become essential to every advisor?
Right, so this is a big prediction here today from me.
Love it.
Think about this. We talked about this already, subscription-based models. We talked about the race to zero, the ability to trade and reap, everything zero.
Yeah.
Investment management being commoditized, right? So what's left? What is the way to demonstrate your gamma as an advisor? What is the way to retain those clients and attract new ones? It's through a good, comprehensive financial plan. Because if you provide really good advice to your clients, they're never going to want to leave. But if you're a commodity to them, if you're just investment management resources, if you're just watching some accounts for them, it's easy to leave. And so NaviPlan, along with many other technologies, are looking at ways to provide a good technology that wraps around the advisor, right? The advisor will never leave. In fact, I think the value an advisor brings to any advice relationship can never be repeated, right? But can they keep up technologically? And so we'll continue to develop tools that are modular, planning tools, digital client tools, amongst others. They're going to help you as an advisor be better at your practice, to expand your book of business, but also to stay relevant daily and be attractive and elegant technologically.
Well, you guys do a great job. You always do a good job being elegant, my friend.
Well,
thank you so much. Always good to see you.
Always a pleasure.
For Investment News, I'm Matt Ackermann.